Okay, so today I'm going to talk about low fidelity prototyping and how you gather feedback on low fidelity prototypes. I will tell you about two cases of user-centered evaluation, and I will talk about how user-centered design methods are used. And please stop and ask me if you have any questions. So I've referred to this double diamond many times before. We have been in this phase of understanding what we are going to design and why. And you went out and did the contextual interviews to understand the people's daily experiences and how they really solve their problems today. You could also understand causal influences then, and mapping who are involved. You did that by doing the user groups and the personas. So you have really been working in this area. What is it really that we could or we are going to make, and why do what do they need, and why do they need something? So you are in the middle red dot now, uh, and actually you should have like a clear vision now on the opportunity on which to base your ideas for the design. But in the next two projects, you will work on here in the second diamond to the right. And the first thing is to do a rapid testing of ideas. And you will do that in the first in the walking the wall tomorrow, because that the objective of walking the wall is to get design ideas. So you ask people to help you to get design ideas based on the material you got from understanding people's daily experiences. And you will also seek feedback from the users. And you do that already in project 3. In project 4, you will refine the design and measure the impact. So you will do more on this, on these here in project 4. But we are opening up for many ideas how to actually design the product that you're making. And there is actually no one right solution for this. I went once to an exhibition in an industry museum, so industry design museum. It is in Gothenburg, called Röska Museum. And they had probably a table like this, wide and almost like this long, and it was covered with pieces for getting the zest out of lemons, you know, and they were all different, you know, the design. This is only one activity, taking the zest out of the lemon, the juice, I mean, you know, and it was like covered with different designs, different colors, different way of doing things, this. And I was like, okay, if we have so many designs for only this small activity, we will have endless ideas for how to make software, because we have more like more freedom there. So, and it was, they didn't really rate it or anything. They didn't rate how users like these designs. There are some that are very famous, like this. It's in aluminium and it's so high. Have you seen it? It's for oranges. It's Philip Stark, a very famous designer that has designed this. And it's almost like a piece of art. It's impossible to use because the juice goes over the whole table, and but it is often used as a like an item in a nice kitchen that you have this design item there. So what I'm saying is, we have a lot of opportunities here to do many different designs. And you only know which of the designs is really good is by asking people. Asking, try, try to, in the lemon juice case, you could ask people to use maybe 20, 30 of them and tell you which is the best. They would probably not uh, be able to use all of them that were there, but maybe some, and then you could make like a survey or questionnaire or something and ask them. And we do similar things for the software. We we just try to design it the way that we think is the easiest way for the users to use it, and then we go out and check. This is the only way we have. And it is very, very often so that we get really different and new opinions and maybe design ideas from the users that we didn't think of. Because sometimes when you are designing something, you get so focused on your idea, on the original design idea. And I was actually telling a story here during lunchtime this today about this, that I was involved in evaluating the system. I remember I've told you this before, but maybe you can understand now the flavor of it better. So it was a system for watching the news. Remember this system? That was spread to the homes, and this was 20 years ago. So this was really inventive at that time, because at that time you could only see the news at 7, and if you missed it, you couldn't see it. It was not on the internet. Never, you couldn't download it or anything. So this was really inventive. Whoa, we can just watch it whenever we like. Yeah. And we thought that people would like to like store the news so you could check all the conversations between Hillary and Trump, for the last month or something. So it was categorized in like political news and sport news and internal news and uh, international and so on. And then there was this user. He said, oh, "Girls, this is just stupid. I would never watch everything for the last month." So we had a totally wrong design idea. It was like a library for us, but nobody wants to store old things. News are news. So he said, "I just want to sit down. I just want to check the first one. If it's boring, I would want to get the next one finished." And this is the design that is in many of the systems today. Uh, But what I'm saying was that we were so focused on this design idea, we never even questioned if this was the good design for the users. And when he then told us, "I would like a totally different approach to the design of your system," we were like, "Of course." you know so there can be great ideas out there that the designers don't think about. And so that's why it's so great to go and seek feedback from the users, especially if the users are outspoken and direct and really tell their opinions. Okay. So this is what you will be doing in project 3 and 4. So what we did last time, in the last lecture, I introduced walking the wall with you, and you will do this in the problem solving task or session tomorrow. So you remember this, that you have to bring the affinity diagrams for the session tomorrow, and you will get some group of students that are not in your group to walk the wall with you and get design ideas. And we also talked about low fidelity prototyping and sketching. So low fidelity prototypes, the first type is paper-based. It is usually created by hand or using post-it notes, and in the book, the course book, they really emphasize that you do that as the first prototype. Use post-it notes to do that. And then later on, you can add some digital tools to make the prototypes, like do wireframes and so on. But these paper prototypes always show the structure of the user interface. So a paper prototype is a representation of your product on paper, and it's easy, quick, and cheap to make. And you can test those with users. And that's the maybe the most positive thing, that you can move anything in the prototype directly there. So if the users say, I can't find it, I can't see this information and so on, you could maybe take it from down there and move it up and say, would it be better up here? So the comments come from users, and the structure can change of the system. So these are examples of the paper prototypes. And when making a low fidelity prototype, we are deciding two things. We are deciding what should be on each page. So we are actually, okay, on the front page, we would like to have this and this and this. And then when you click, you will directly go there and, to that page, and this should be there. And then maybe you go back or go to the next one. So you are really deciding the structure, the tree, or the web tree. And you're also deciding where to place each thing. So when you have decided, okay, we would need all this information on the front page, we will decide, okay, should we have a left area with all of the links, and then here should we have a big photo area, like it's very, very popular? But some people are very irritated about it. I can show you examples. So like if we take the university website again, uh, you see this is very, very big. And here we have the banner to the right. It's a big area for photo. But this is quite popular right now. Maybe it's because of the tablets, or I don't know. So we would, and here they have decided then to have news, to have the events here, and then these like core information. So when we are at this stage, we are really deciding this. What both what should be at each screen and then where to place it. Okay. And we could, this is called a wireframe. It's probably because you think about the lines as wires and these are like squares that you are collecting. And a wireframe for this one, this is an old example. It was a TV show called Survivor. Have you seen some episodes of it? No. Okay. Okay, so there was this team of people, and they were supposed to survive in this was in Amazon. So they have to go there, and they get many different tasks, and if they don't do well, they are sent home. So and there's a meeting and so on. It's a series TV show, and there are series of shows. So this was the web page supporting this. But the wireframe could look like this, that you have decided, okay, there should be a header, there should be some photo of the team, there should be an introduction to the show, and maybe something here to select the team or something to ask the people that are watching. And here we could introduce the members, and yeah. So we are saying, okay, we need this on the first page, and it should be laid out similar to this. So you can see here, there are some buttons or something here. This is the team with a photo and the name. And so you can actually, by just doing this, you have really designed the layout for the website. You could also have it like this, just have like comments if you think it's not nice to have the text here. This is like a description text of what should come there. It could also be outside. So it's more or less dividing up the space. And here on Word, this is the video on demand for Vodafone. This is some years ago. So you've decided what should be there on the first level. It's the útvarp is called yeah. So it's the I can't remember. Yeah, they call it media center, and there's Leigan is for hiring films and so on. Dagskrá is for the TV. It's the program. And then radio and settings. So sometimes you have decided what should be on the top level there, the buttons there, and then like some of the categories and so on. This is another example of balsamic, and here you have it in the real setting. This is another example. This is a web for one of the bookstores in Iceland called Amundsen. And this is more detailed. So here you start. This would never be the first prototype. Here you are getting more information. It's more detailed. Maybe you have a prototype like this in project 4. But you can really see the relation. This was designed this way, and then it was made into detail like this. But you have the tabs there, you have the lists, you have that you can select a book there. So you can really see where this is heading towards this. So it's quite impressive how much you can do in designing only in black and white and gray, and just coloring the areas. So, but when we are designing, we always have to focus on the task that the user is really solving and we want to help them in solving. So we were doing that by doing the story maps. Then you were really focusing on what is the task that the user has to do, and how can we break that down, and how can we help them. And if the screen size is small, if you're designing for a tablet or a GSM, then you need to be even more sure about what is the main task of the user, and in what steps would the user want to do this. Okay, so this is from the book. This is teaching you how to make a low fidelity prototype. So you have these tasks and activities. First of all, it's the preparation, and then the making of the low fidelity prototype, and then changing the interface according to the user's comments. So in the preparation, you have to decide how many iterations you're going to make. So you have to decide the level of the prototype at first. And if you have a totally new idea, like you have in your project now, you could expect 3 iterations in this at this stage. And we would like you to have 3 or 4 users in each iteration. So the first prototype would be paper prototype with post-its, everything movable. Then you would do a evaluation or like a interview session with the users. Bring your prototype with you. You would do another one, some based on paper, but also computer aided. So you could do, you could use balsamic, but for the areas that you're not really sure about, you could add post-it notes. So if there are some things in the design you think, oh, I don't really know if this fits more this, you could make it into post-it so you could switch easily during the evaluation. And then after that evaluation, you could do a computer drawn, like a wireframe, total wireframe, and then iterate again. And after that, you could start to add some colors to make it more detailed. If you have an extension to a system that is already there, like if we were doing a new thing, maybe for the web, maybe a web for a research center that doesn't have a web now, but this will be a part of the RU web. We could expect 2 or 3 iterations with 3 or 4 users. So then you would do a paper prototype, you would do a evaluation, and then computer drawn um, prototype. Okay, so the second task for the preparation is just to collect the data and have everything ready. So you would have to have post-it notes, a pen, a paper, and so on to be able to do this. And the first thing when making the prototype is going through the user goal description. And you should have those both in the scenarios that you made and also in the personas. You did also some lists of user goals there. And you analyzed also the user goals in the story mapping. So you have done this gradually. So you define the important parts of the system for the user, and yeah, and if you've done a story map, you have this already. So you have defined the important parts, and you have analyzed the sequence. And then you make like a list of this. What would be the important parts? So like if we were designing, let's say we were designing this one, we would, or maybe this one is easier. We would maybe we would say, okay, we need some information about all the films and that you are supposed to rent. So that would be one thing. And then we need information on the schedule. So you would have a list of all the things that need to be there. So you're not sketching like this. You're not making the sketch. You're only making a list of what needs to be there. Also refer to this. It would be like, yeah, we need the logo. We need the photo for the team. We need some introduction, a list of this. Okay. Um, yeah, so these are not this is not a design. It's more like a comment or description of the interface. And it would be maybe good to have also a list of concepts there. And here, like for the bookstore, a book is a concept. That is like one item. A film is another item. And do you make a difference about films and then like episodes or series? Or is that joint? So you can start to discuss these things. And also, what words will you then use? Will you always use the word film, or would you use something else? And then you define the interface widgets. You should include, and it would be good to include the user interface designer here. And widget, that is, a button. Are you going to use tabs, or are you going to use link, and so on? So if we look at this one again, they decided to have a tab, some alternatives here, and then a banner there. So there's a button up there and a search button. So these are all widgets. Yeah, and when you design, you suggest how the widget should look like, um, and you pick one idea if you have many. Like for choosing something, it could be a link, or it could be a button, or it could be. So you have to, or these, yeah, or a menu or something. So if you have to choose between different things, you have often many different approaches, and you have to look at the pros and cons here, and try to reduce the constraints. So a sketch could look like this. Here the it it is a sketch for choosing some time. So you have the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on, and then timings. And so this was, I think, something for picking maybe a time for meeting or something. And they decided that there should be a button here uh, called file or register, and this is confirming. So they have sketched the interface like they think it would fit. And the next thing is to show the sketches to so if you're making a sketch for a big system, and maybe you divided it between the four of you here, and then you would show it to each other. So the group that designed some parts of the system should go through all the design, both their own and from the others. And when you have that, you can make the prototype. You could actually make it on paper. And be sure that all the parts are movable. The menus, the buttons, the regions in the interface. So there shouldn't be any hidden information or hidden functions, and you should give examples of data. Users are actually very sensitive to that. And the examples should be quite realistic. I was in the industry giving advices or doing consultancy job the other day, and they were telling me that they did some evaluation with users on sketches, and the example didn't really fit. They just choose some dates, and the beginning date was after the end date. It was just, they thought, we'll just pick some dates there and there, but the users were like, this is all wrong, this can't be true. So they really looked at the data that was there. But the programmers, the designers, they just thought, there will be a date here, date here. Doesn't really matter what date you put there. You see? You understand this? Yeah. But the users get irritated, or they get like fixed on the real data that is in the example. So it should be realistic. Okay, we should take a break now. Would you like 5 minutes or 10 minutes? 5? Okay. See you then.